This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Welcome to Covered in Pet Hair, a boozy web show for pet lovers on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I'm having a drink and a chat with a guy who trades in blood proteins. I'll tell you all about him and introduce you as soon as we come back from these messages from our sponsors. Welcome back to Covered in Pet Hair. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I'm having a drink and a chat with a pet parent, an entrepreneur, a world traveler, a brewery buff, a fitness fanatic, an Iowan, husband to Megan, dad to Hayes and Boone, the favorite neighbor in the neighborhood, especially to pups Eddie and Coconut, a Great Dane aficionado, Tim Mitchum, who also happens to be the president of WINPRO Pet. Welcome, Tim.
Hey, how are you? I've never had an introduction like that. That's amazing to learn so much about myself,
Well, you've never been called a guy who trades in blood protein?
No, I'm not really. No, I don't think so. Nor the favorite neighbor. I'm not sure I've been called that yet either, but I like all those things are all great. We'll just take them.
But are they true? That's all that matters.
I would say so because I'm kind of self-proclaimed president of our neighborhood association that doesn't exist. So, I mean, I would think that would be okay to say.
Oh my goodness, you and I have already something in common. I call myself the same thing.
Right.
And
the
nobody else
does. The neighborhood.
Pretty much, yes. So before we go any further, anybody participating in our drinking game tonight, every time you hear this word, make sure you take a drink of whatever you're enjoying, but do not drink and drive. Always be of age wherever it is that you are in order to drink, and always drink responsibly. I used to say 21 and over, but I just looked at my analytics and we have people watching from all over the world. So wherever you are, make sure you're over the legal limit to drink, or just stick to sparkling water or juice. All right, so what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking red wine, and it is the Scout and Cellar Zinfandel. It's called Middle Jane.
Ooh, and what is so special about Scout and Cellar?
Well, from what I hear, it's supposed to be a little bit healthier. Now, I don't drink that for that reason. I mean, I enjoy the benefit of that, but my wife is really the one who controls what comes in the house and what, and that's the thing. It's like less tannins. I like it because it's a little bit drier. Nice. And it is a little bit healthier. So, I mean, anywhere you can cut calories, I'm all for,
yes,
especially when you get to a certain point.
I've actually seen some ads, and I'm not sure if it's that same brand, but for lower sugar content in wines. And I mean, sugar, it's a big deal.
Yeah. So Fit Vine was one we used to drink. And then we just moved to this. And this is, in my opinion, way better.
Interesting. I'm going to check it out for sure. I am not going sugar-free or even light sugar today because I love a theme, and we're talking about blood proteins today. I'm doing a blood orange margarita out of a bottle. Can you see it?
Yeah, it looks pretty like down quite a ways.
No. What are you talking about? No way. So this is apparently, it's called Flybird. I got it at Sprouts here in El Paso, and it is a Mexican product. And I am actually going to taste it for the first time right here because I've never tasted it. Blood orange margarita. It's made with wine too. So cheers to you for being on the show and for spending your Friday with me and telling me all about blood proteins. That's really good. That's
really good?
Yeah, that's like if I got that at a restaurant, I'd be impressed.
We had a margarita brunch one time. We don't have margarita brunches anymore. They're too much fun.
Yeah. Oh, I remember some of those too. Or I just don't remember getting home after the brunch.
Right.
Luckily, I lived on Capitol Hill in DC, and it was walking distance to the restaurant and home. So
it's good.
We didn't have to worry about walking home. But I want to start our show like I do every week, and I want to play a game with you.
Perfect.
And well, I mean, if we're talking blood proteins, the first thing that came to mind was vampires. So we're going to do a little vampire mythology trivia.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you a statement, and you're going to just tell me if it's true or false. But this game is called Vampire Lies. So you're going to tell me if it's a truth or a lie.
Got
Ready?
it. Yes.
If it's true, it's a truth. If it's a lie, if it's false, it's a vampire lie. All right,
So
ready
we
to go.
determined vampires as a real thing or not? Because I need to understand that before I answer these questions, maybe.
I mean, it's yes, of course, they
Okay.
exist.
All right.
In this
all right.
mythology, they absolutely 100%
Perfect.
exist.
Okay.
I mean, we're going back to before Christianity. I mean, like, this is
Okay, I'm in.
a legit trivia game.
Okay, legit. Perfect.
All right. The first question is mermaids can also be vampires, but instead of sucking blood, they suck out the breath of their victims.
That is not true.
Apparently, they do. Mermaids are vampires too.
Well, aren't they supposed to be able to? They don't need extra oxygen, right? I mean, they're built that way. Like
maybe
they're like greedy.
they don't need it. It's just wasteful at that point, right?
It's totally wasteful. Okay.
I think. Are you into sustainability? Because I'm getting that from you.
Yeah, who isn't? You know, I mean...
Who isn't? Very good answer. All right, next question. That sunlight can kill vampires seems to be a modern invention, perhaps started by the US government to scare superstitious guerrillas in the Philippines in the late 1950s.
I'm going to say that's a true statement.
It sure is. Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah, that is fascinating. I went with true because it's too crazy. Like, but then the government was involved. I'm like, well, that could be crazy enough then. Let's just say true.
I guess so. All right. Certain regions of the Balkans believe that fruits such as pumpkins or watermelons would become vampires if they were left out longer than 10 days or not consumed by Valentine's Day.
That is no way true. That's a false statement.
You know what's funny? It's false. You're right. It's a vampire lie, except the only thing that's false about it is that it's Valentine's Day. They believe that if you don't consume these fruits by Christmas, the fruits become vampires.
So you're throwing in pretty tricky questions then, based on... Okay.
I know.
Right.
I mean, I gotta keep it on your toes. So I don't even remember the website that I took these from. Like, I'm literally blanking right now, but it's a website dedicated to vampire mythology, and it's just information that you never thought you always wanted to know about vampires.
Let's check it out.
Before Christianity, it was not unusual for a corpse to be buried face down so it would dig down the wrong way and become lost inside the earth.
I am going to say that is false statement.
It's true. I guess this was the vampire prevention method of the time.
Oh, that makes sense. I just have never seen anything. I follow a lot of weird, like museum archive things on Twitter, and I think I would have seen that, but there's no vampire related posts. Or
you know what? I am not to be held responsible for any mistruths shared today about vampires, because there's some true diehard, no pun intended, vampire aficionado that's going to come at me at this point. All right, next one. One way to supposedly deter a vampire is to throw seeds, usually mustard seeds, outside a door or place fishing net outside a window.
I don't think that they'd be afraid of fishing net. I don't get the mustard seed. But I'm going to say true because I just heard of basketball teams sucking down mustard packets during the game for some reason to prevent cramps. So I'm just going to throw it out there and say maybe that's a thing and it's a true statement.
Well, I don't see the connection, but you're right.
Right. I mean, does there have to be a connection to mythology?
No, not at all. But to me, it sounds right because I know that there's mention of mustard seeds in the Bible. So I'm wondering if there's a connection there.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So this is the last one. A vampire supposedly has control over the animal world and can turn into a bat, rat, owl, moth, fox, or wolf.
I'm going to say true on that one.
Absolutely true. Isn't that so cool?
Yeah, because I know the bat thing is for sure in the movies. I think a wolf thing is for sure in the movies. I think that's, yeah, no doubt about it. That's an easy one. I like the easy one for the last one.
Okay, well, I have a bonus question.
Okay, great. Here we go.
What is a group of vampires called? And this was bonus, so you actually have to come up with a word for it.
A group of vampires would be called...
There are multiple options.
Oh, okay. I was going to say fangers.
Oh, that's like their band name. I like it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the band name. What are the options?
So they can be called a clutch, a brood, a coven, a pack, or a clan.
I think coven sounds like the most kind of like...
Witchy.
I'm going to go with coven.
Yeah, well, no, those are all options.
Oh, that's it.
So they could be a pack of a pack of wolves, a pack of vampires.
Yeah, I think it's coven for sure. Coven.
The only one that is not on there that I like to call it a squad of vampires, but that's just me. You know, girl
that sounds
squad.
like a middle school cartoon that parents are really upset about. Vampire Squad or something.
Exactly. It's very Taylor Swift to me, I feel like.
Right.
All right. I'm going to go jump right into the questions now. So you work with blood protein. How did you end up the president of WINPRO Pet selling blood protein supplements?
Yeah, so that's a really, really cool story. So the founder of our company, Bill Bernardo, he was working in the performance racehorse world. And what he was doing there, he was tasked with taking this blood protein technology and bringing it to performance racehorses. It had been in livestock, cattle, sheep, goats, everything through the livestock industry for decades, but they wanted to bring a new supplement to the performance racehorse world. So he did that, and he saw the remarkable results with that and realized, well, I mean, he is a bona fide, in a beautiful way, crazy dog person. He has 5 dogs at home, and he didn't necessarily enjoy or was comfortable around horses, and they're big animals. So if you're not comfortable around them, it's a daunting thing. And so he decided to take the leap of faith and take that technology and bring it into the canine world. So that's kind of how it got here. The science goes way back to Iowa State University in the 1980s. And to give you just a quick about that, they were having a terrible mortality rate when they were weaning piglets. And so they tried nutrition and environmental factors and a lot of different things. And the smart scientists there sprinkled a blood protein matrix on the food, and the mortality rate dropped dramatically from like 20% to less than 1%. And so they just took that science through all these other species, ended up in the performance racehorse world. And then our founder took it from there and brought it to the canine world.
Is Bill still involved in the business?
Yeah, Bill's still involved. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So how long has this brand existed, this product existed?
So he brought it to market really in 2017. I was brought in to help him, and later on in that year, just kind of help grow it. And we really started selling direct to consumer in 2018, really, focused on that. And because it's a unique product, there's some education around it, and it takes a little bit of time. But now we're at the point where we have so much social proof, and the results are really remarkable for a lot of dogs, that it's kind of taking on its own growth, just even through word of mouth.
Absolutely. So I heard about your products through Scott J. Marshall II, who was my guest on my show, episode 3. I'll put the link right up here for anybody who wants to watch it. So he is a huge fan of your products. He filled out the same questionnaire that you filled out as a guest. And when I asked for what his favorite pet product is, of all the products he could have said, he said WINPRO Pet, the mobility product.
Mobility.
Yes, that's his favorite.
Wow, that's
product.
awesome. I should send him an email to thank him. He's a great customer, and we've really enjoyed working with him for sure.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's such a wealth of information. And actually, I watched your interview with Scott yesterday, and I watched your interview with Kim from Keep the Tail Wagging.
Yes.
And I learned a lot about the product and a lot about the history. And I actually was very interested, because I'm a breastfeeding mom and a breastfeeding advocate, to learn that the benefits of this blood protein were found when weaning piglets. And it wasn't because the nutrition was lacking, it was because of the stress of the experience of weaning, which all of us have mom guilt about. So we hear that
Right.
for the pigs and for the moms. So tell me about how that blood protein helped these weaning pigs.
Yeah, so what the beauty behind blood proteins, what they do is it's really simple. It sounds like a really complicated science, but it's very, very simple. When there's stress or like an injury, inflammation is created at the source, right? Which is normal. But when that inflammation isn't able to be reduced, the body can't keep up to solve its own problem. So what blood proteins do is they go to the source and reduce the pro-inflammatory cytokines. Just that's a fancy way of saying the bad inflammation that doesn't go away on its own. And we get rid of that, excess inflammation. We reduce that, and the dog system essentially heals itself. It's a really cool way to think about it. So, can I expand on that just a little bit?
Absolutely. Take your
Okay,
time.
so
I'm fascinated by all this. I'm sure everybody
yeah.
wants a lesson on this, because blood protein treats are not something we buy every day.
Yeah, and so the reason I was brought in, but the trigger that made me go, okay, this sounds like a great idea, is we had a dog, Roxy at the time.
Oh, sweet girl.
Yeah. I married into the Chihuahua, but ended up loving her to death. So she hadn't jumped on the couch or the bed for 3 or 4 years, literally not jumped on the couch or the bed for 3 or 4 years. And so I was brought this product, say, hey, try this out. I mean, it's unique, it's different. And so it's extremely skeptical, because I had never given supplements to a dog before that. I wasn't, I'm a little bit older, so I grew up in a generation where I bridged the gap between dogs were, on the farm to just be a dog. And then now we're into pet parent. So I've bridged all those gaps, and I just hadn't even thought about supplements. And so I just started giving them to her. And within 15 days, she was jumping all over the house, the couch, the bed, and she was like a new dog. And we hear all the time that the dog got their puppy legs back. And what the big aha moment for me is that she could do it the whole time. She was just sore, and it wasn't worth it to her, right? So like if we have a sore back, there's a box on the floor, we're going to wait until our back feels better. Well, if our back never feels better, that box stays there, and all of a sudden there's a new pattern. People are picking up the animal, the pet. They're building stairs, and sometimes those things are needed, but a lot of times they're not. If you just get rid of the inflammation, that dog's body heals itself, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, they got new legs. Well, they didn't. They just got the legs that they could always had were freed up to be able to do what they wanted to do, and they could make a different decision. They could say, oh, it's worth the jump now because I feel okay. And I thought, when I saw that, I just couldn't believe it. Like, it was just amazing to me. So I knew that it was a remarkable product, and to me, that says it's really fun to talk about and to work with people and see the transformational results that other people get. So that's what I love the most about that.
Absolutely. And I actually am a client. I believe so strongly in the product because my Titan has been taking it since December. And I didn't even, because I hadn't done the research yet. I wasn't preparing for our interview. So I've done that since. But within 4 days, I saw a difference. And I said to my husband, I'm pretty sure that it's the treats. And my husband, having no idea what I had purchased or where it came from or what it was,
right,
skeptical. He's like, okay. And I'm like, I promise you, he's doing better. And it's 4 days in. And I guarantee you that if I took him off of those supplements, we would see a huge decline.
Yep.
He's 13 and a half and going strong. And I want to dig in more into the sourcing and stress and all those things that cause the inflammation as soon as we come back from these messages from our sponsors. Welcome back to Covered in Pet Hair. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arada, and today I'm talking to the president of WINPRO Pet, Tim Mitchum, who is going to explain to us where their fabulous, mythical, magical blood proteins come from. Because I really need to know, obviously, sourcing must be a really big consideration for a product like this.
So we use only porcine blood source. Okay, so we collect the blood inside of the Midwest, and then what's kind of really nice about that, it used to be a waste product, and so we are recycling that and putting it into a form that can be put into a treat. So I'll give you an example. This is actually what happens when we take the really good stuff out of blood. The porcine blood, which what's great about pigs is their physiology is so close to canines. It's a really good transfer. Yes. So we take that with the blood, we make it through lots of different processes into a spray dried plasma powder. Okay. So this is actually what the product is that goes into our soft chews. So it's, the beauty of this is that there's zero issues of transferring any type of disease or any issues that come from any of that. There's just zero issues of it because it goes through many processes and it comes into a spray dried plasma.
Why don't you sell just the powder? Wouldn't that be kind of easier?
Well, we've had people actually ask for that, but that really becomes just kind of an ingredient. And it's hard to get sometimes. Like, this is what we've decided as the best dosing form, right? Dogs think it's a treat. It's really clean. It's not messy. They typically just eat them up like crazy. And so we've just chosen a form that really helps the pet parent give it to their dog in the best, easiest, cleanest way.
It's so true too, because you said that you never really went into the supplement stuff with your pets. Mm-hmm. I do. My dogs eat a kibble and we already put slippery elm powder into their food. So if I added another powder, chances are they may not even eat it. And I will say I have 3 dogs. One of them, the little one, Radar, is not a fan of treats. He's just like, I can give him treats. He doesn't eat like food off the table. He's very picky. He will jump in my lap for these treats. Like, he loves them. So definitely the ease of delivery is definitely there. I can attest to that myself for sure.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah. So I want to get into the stress. So I don't think pet parents really understand how our pets get stressed. I think they think dogs are just all happy-go-lucky all the time to see them, but they don't realize that a lot of the things that happen around them cause stress to them. So I want to play a quick game with you so that our listeners and viewers can kind of get an idea of what you think would stress a dog out or not, or how badly it would stress them out. So this is, how stressful is it? And you're going to pretend you're a dog. This is completely opinion-based, so you can't get any of these wrong, but you're an expert in this. Yeah, right? You're going to win this game no matter what. So on a scale from 1 to 10, give me a number that best describes how stressful these situations would be for you pretending to be a dog. Driving in traffic.
It depends on my pattern, and it depends on the traffic. So I'm going to say 6 because I don't know what the traffic's like and I don't know if I'm used to that all the time.
Right. Very good point. A baby crying.
That, to me, same thing, but in general, that's probably like a 7, just because 1, it's stressful for anybody to hear a baby crying. 2, the dog has no idea how to solve that problem and get away from it. And 3, they naturally, usually if there's a baby in the house, they want to protect and love on that baby. And so that's a problem. And so that creates really a lot of anxiety for them.
Perfect. A siren blaring.
10.
For everybody, right? Dog, cat, human. Yeah. New pet joins the family.
10.
Ooh, good. Interesting. Travel.
Depends on the dog and the pattern, but I would say travel for a lot of reasons. not only just the logistics of it, but the change in water, the change in possibly, food. That's pretty stressful. And I'd say that's about an 8.
Good points. A trip to the vet.
11.
For most, correct. Unless they're fear-free professionals and maybe they're doing something right. But even then, I'm not sure that dogs really want to leave their house to go get probed and prodded.
Yeah.
And then final one, an unfamiliar house guest, as friendly as they may be.
I think that's probably around the 6 to 7, because it really does depend on the dog. Sometimes that's a 12 for some dogs,
Correct.
But I would say 6 to 7. And if you never have house guests and that's like a really weird pattern, then it's obviously escalated from there for sure.
Absolutely. And the reason I wanted to ask that is because, like you basically answered my question. Everything that could change the pattern can cause stress. And you gave answers that were from 6 to 12, 11,
Yeah,
12. Right. So do all stressors impact inflammation equally, or is it based on those kind of like numbers and those, how high the stress goes?
So here's what's really cool to understand. And this goes back to the simplicity of our product. Dogs have the ability to solve all stress problems, right? Their body, their system has that ability already. The problem comes when they have all this stress going on and their body just can't keep up with it. Then it turns into chronic, right? Or an issue. If the dog ate perfect nutrition, had perfect everything, and then had a stress come in, that's not a problem. But when there's all these environmental factors all, working at the same time and the body can't keep up, that's when it becomes a problem for the dog. And so what we do is we take away the excess so that the dog's system can really function normally. Like, our goal is to return the dog to normal in every aspect. And when they're normal, they're perfect.
Absolutely. So can you explain very quickly, because I know we don't want to get super into the science, but the protein is actually functioning in the system very differently to what I think most people expect it to do. It binds to the wall of the stomach. Is that right?
Yeah. So it binds to receptor sites in the stomach. And the reason it does that by nature's design, right, is so that it can access issues through the bloodstream. So like if there's, excess inflammation in the soft tissue of the joints, that's where, it will be directed. And that's just, that's the way nature designed it. I mean, it's amazing. Blood proteins are literally the key to nature's, to providing relief to inflammation related issues.
It really is a super cool concept process. And I like that WINPRO makes only 5 products, like literally 5 different choices that, from my understanding, do not interfere with any medication or any other supplementation. So how are they formulated differently? And are there any herbals or minerals, vitamins in these products, as well as the blood protein?
Yeah, so we only have 5 products currently, and we don't have a push to create a bunch of products because we want to make sure that our products actually solve a problem and don't, and are necessary without wasting money. So we have our K-Thrive blend of blood proteins, which is plasma, serum, albumin, IgG, IgA, all the good stuff in blood in a dried form in each one of our chews. And then we just add a couple simple ingredients that are common to kind of boost the effect for that area. So like in our hip and joint, it would be balanced collagen. For our calming product, our focus product, it's taurine and theanine. So just a couple. We don't have to load up active ingredients to make it like a multivitamin of any sort, because all we want to do is get rid of inflammation so the dog system can function normal and solve its own problems, heal itself.
That is awesome. Yeah, the if a good product is in there, you don't need a lot of it, right? You just need the
really
stuff that's targeted.
Yeah, and if you have really good nutrition, which most pet parents do, they focus on that, really good nutrition. Our products are just like the perfect addition because it's nothing with nutrition. It's just whenever there's too much stress and the system can't keep up, we will take that stress related inflammation away so that they actually just return to normal.
Okay, cool. So describe the 5 products that you have. We use the Mobility, and that's the one that Titan has done amazingly well on. And we give it to the other dogs too, but Titan's 13 and a half. And he had such weakness in his hind quarters that his hind quarters would kind of give out. We know that there's other stuff going on, and obviously he's not going to be here forever, but this has improved his quality of life immensely. He goes for a walk every single day. And at 13 and a half, that's huge. And he waits for me by the front door. So he's asking for that walk.
That's awesome.
And we use the immunity.
That says a lot, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I say to my husband, and it's always hard to decide when it's time to say goodbye to your pets. But to me, I don't care how kind of off balance he seems, as long as he's standing by that front door waiting to go out, we're good. Like, he's good. Yeah. That to me is an indication that he's still living life and enjoying it to its fullest. And we also use the immunity. I know that you have a gut formulation. You said the focus formulation. And what else do you have?
So we have the Mobility, the focus for calming, the immunity for gut health. We have an allergy product, which is our number 1 product. And for, obviously allergies. And then we have a recovery product that really started in the funny story. If I can share a funny story, we started in the performance dog world because the product was so got such great results that dogs in the performance dog world, meaning field trials. And for your audience, if they don't know what that means, it means, basically hunting dogs are taken out and run for multiple days, all day in a row, doing, training and contests. It's a fun, kind of sport, but they're pushed really, really hard, sometimes too hard. And so we started in that arena to, help those dogs. But the problem is we didn't get any traction because the results were so good. Everybody would duct tape the product in their truck or, on the field. So nobody knew what they were using because they wanted to win a ribbon and not have anybody else know. So that was a really bad marketing, it just didn't work. So we started in that world. So the recovery product is really kind of a niche product, but now with all the cool, kind of what I would say, individual sports that you can get involved in with your dog, whether it's barn hunt or fly ball or any type of competition like that. Our recovery product works really well. And basically all that does is after extreme stress, and extreme stress is different for every dog, right? But at the end of a day that's more stressful than normal, our recovery product really just kind of gives them the boost. So what other people say is there's fresh legs day after day after day.
Does the recovery have more of the blood protein in it? Is that why it's kind of more effective? What makes that different?
So what we add in the recovery product is like glutamine, creatine, and ribose are the only 3. So really muscle and lung enhancing ingredients.
That's awesome. So even a dog that goes on a long hike would benefit from something like that.
Yeah, for sure. We have a lot of our really active hikers and runners. That's a product that they use on extreme kind of extra days. Most of those dogs are pretty used to that, but a lot of times you change up a little bit and they really need that help.
Okay, so tell me why we haven't seen blood protein in human products, or have we?
There is a human product that was out, but it was so expensive. It just it's still, I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's so expensive. It's so hard to get but it is created there. It is out there. But the stories behind it were like the employees at this place were like, just trying to get it because it would solve like colds like that. Like it would just take away all these normal things that we deal with. But it was really, really expensive in the human form because you have to have so many it's just different in that world.
Yeah, I bet there's more regulation and such. But
yeah, we do have people that actually take our immunity product for a sensitive stomach. Now, I would never recommend that, but we've had a couple people.
I'm sorry. They eat a dog treat?
Yeah. Now, I do not recommend that, but we have had people do that and they say, yeah, it really helps. It's great. And you can do that. there's nothing in our products that are harmful. So
Okay, so I guess if you eat like beef jerky, I'm sure that's like the very similar, right?
I eat beef jerky and it's not quite the same.
You're not going to be eating?
No, I don't want to eat it, but dogs love it, and that's all that matters.
Yes, my dogs adore it. Absolutely. And I want all of our listeners and viewers to find out how they can buy their own. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how they can get their pets or their dogs a little healthier using your products?
Yeah, so the main place to go is winpropet.com, WINPRO pet.com. We also sell on Amazon and we also sell on Chewy. So whatever is most convenient for you guys, just, go to those places. We have very few brick and mortar. We're always working on that, but we do have some available on our site. There's a store locator that you never know. There's a chance that they're there, but we're really picky on who we bring in for that because they have to be passionate and an education focused and not just set a product on the shelf and not know how to talk about it.
Yeah, people don't realize what blood protein is or how it works unless you explain it to them. I mean, it's not something like, oh, these are training treats. These are not. These are supplement treats that have a whole goal in mind. So I just want to propose a toast to you for being on the show, for taking your time to educate me and our audience. Cheers to you. Thank you so much. I also want to propose a toast to our executive producer, Mark Winter, for making this show possible, and to our viewers and listeners. Thank you so much for spending your time with us and for sharing your love of vampires, margaritas, red wine with us. I look forward to more shows and more learning from you guys and for more walks with Titan thanks to your products. So thank you so much. You always toast on the left so that you can have the reason to repeat the occasion.
Oh, I like that.
Here's to a life covered in pet hair, because there's no better way to live. Cheers. Thanks again for watching. If you want to learn more about Covered in Pet Hair, please visit coveredinpethair.com or petliferadio.com. We'll see you next time.